On the streets of Aulnay-sous-Bois, protesters are demanding police accountability after one of their own, a 22-year-old man named Theo, was allegedly raped and assaulted by police during an arrest. The 4 officers accused of being involved have been suspended, and one has been charged with aggravated rape.
Ça c'est de la barbarie, c'est de l'humiliation, vraiment c'est dégradant.
The case is fueling anger, with local youths taking to the streets this week in confrontations with police. Frustrated over their treatment of residents in the multi-ethnic housing estates which ring Paris. It's a flashback to the racial tensions which erupted into riots in the capital and across the country in 2005, after 2 teenagers died in Paris when they were hiding from police. But more than a decade on, the actions of French police towards ethnic communities continue to come under question, with fresh calls for transparency in policing, as was the case last year over the death in custody of Adama Traoré in Paris. The man at the centre of this latest incident is calling for calm. And the government is sending its own message to police.
Je veux rappeler à leur devoir d'exemplarité tous les fonctionnaires de police et de gendarmerie.
But is that enough to reassure the public that there isn't a double standard of policing for different communities? Natalie Pohonen, The Newsmakers.
I'm joined now by Rahliba Negadi. She's an anti-racism activist in Paris. Thanks so much for joining us, Rahliba. Looking at the story and its aftermath, it's clear to me as an outsider that this is about Theo, but it's also about a lot more than Theo. Tell me what it's about.
It's about racism in France, and it's about police violences, which are something that we are unluckily used to in France. This is not the French history, the first history we hear about police violences, and especially sexual assault.
Can we be absolutely sure that the officer was acting out of racism?
We can never be sure of anything without being in his head, but when you know that, then when in France most of the victims of the police is ethnic minorities. A great majority of the victims are from ethnic minorities and are young men. They are the first victims in France, so I don't know, maybe it's unluck, but I personally think that this is racism.
Many people see echoes of 2005 and the trouble in the suburbs happening now. Do you think it might get to that?
I personally don't hope so, because I know that the first victims of riots are the rioters, and but they are angry, and it's completely legitimate when you can't get out of your house without being controlled, without being insulted, without being sexually assaulted or killed, like Adama Traoré was killed last summer in France. I don't think that I can give them lessons, but I can't tell them to go and do that, because I know what they risk. We all just wish that these kind of stories will change something and will put these kind of stories in front of the media, in front of the French citizens, so that they understand what is the French police today in France and what we are facing with them. Mm-hmm. I'm not, yes, but we know that this is violence, and right. I can't tell to anybody how to fight violence.
Rahliba, there are many questions of what it means to be French, and speaking to French people, you know, they tell me that there are big questions about whether all French citizens are equal in practice before the law. Tell me how this case complicates the already ongoing culture wars going on in France right now, particularly with a resurgent far right.
This story is particularly violent and particularly a shock for a lot of us, because we have a video today. We can see what's really happened to Theo, and we hear him. We have everything we need to understand what happened, but this is just a drop in the ocean. This is just a name between many names. From Malek Ousekine in 1986 to Adama Traoré last summer to Lamine Dieng and Amin Bentounsi in 2012. This is just a piece of a puzzle, and like police is just a piece of a racist system that we are experiencing here in France. I know that French people love to look at American violence and police brutality to feel happy about themselves, but we have to face the truth in France today. We lost almost a person a week from brutality, from the brutality of the police. And again, this is just a drop in the ocean, and police is just a part of this system. Yesterday was voted a law in France where policemen will be able to say that they were protecting themselves. Even if they're not, policemen will be considered in France protecting themselves in any situation. So this is the law, this is our government, this is our history, this is from October the 17th of 1961, when the French police drowned Algerian people in the Seine, till last week. This is just our lives, and you can't deny.
Allow me to interrupt you just for a second. I just want to look forward. You mentioned 1961. I want to look at 23rd of April 2017. There's an election coming up, and I wonder, do you think that this incident has already impacted what's going to happen during that presidential vote?
I don't know. There's so many things that are impacting our presidential votes. There is a lot of things happening right now regarding the election. We have a candidate which is almost going to face the justice because it seems that he stole money to the state. We have left part of the government which is governing today, which is not agreeing with themselves. There's a lot of things happening. Will it have an impact? I don't know. I just hope that this impact will be positive, yes, but I'm not sure.
Rahliba Negadi, thank you so much for joining us.